All right, everybody, welcome back.
Hey.
My name is Paleo Poppy. This is Top Tier Podcast. This is episode 33?
34.
34. Episode 34. We got a lot of topics for you guys today, man. I mean,
Always.
It's been a crazy week, man. And, 2020, I feel like, it's been a crazy start to a decade. I feel like 2020 has brought about just a nonstop craziness. Like, it started with the Trump era, all the things that came from that, and just led into the pandemic and everything going on in the world globally, man. It's just nonstop. Feels like chaos at this point.
I love it, though. I think 2022 has been an amazing year, especially for music.
Yeah, we agreed on this. I think it's pretty good. It's been pretty good. It's no 2016. We talked about this previously.
Yeah.
It's no 2016, but that's kind of hard. That's kind of hard to follow. 2016 was hard to follow, but 2022, post-pandemic world, pretty solid.
Yeah, I'd say so. So it's fourth quarter, December. SZA released. You already know we're about to get straight to it. All right, the SOS album, SZA's sophomore album, 23 tracks. I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be as respectful as possible. Let me preface by saying that we are both. Well, I won't speak for you. I'll let you have the floor in a second. I am a SZA fan. I love me some SZA. Okay? Not a hater at all. I'm on her side. But we listened to this album. We did our own little joint listening session. And we listened to the full 23 tracks. I've listened to it about 3 times now. It's been a couple of days. So, even though this is early reviews, I've spent quite a amount of time, consuming this album and trying to, do my little detailed study or whatever you might call it. And I've got some opinions that people are going to be pissed about. This album to me was a bit of a disappointment. I think I'll start it there.
Okay. Yeah. Remember, I'm not a long-time SZA fan. Like, I knew you and one of our friends that we reacted to the album to, off mic. You guys are big fans of her. I've heard her music.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I've listened to her music. Like, I really like that collab she did with Travis Scott, where she's like, love
Galore.
I can't sing, but you know what I'm talking about. People who know, yeah, love galore. Yeah, like I've listened to some of her songs. She has a collab. She's featured on a Schoolboy Q song called Never Change. Like, I know SZA. Like, I think she's extremely talented. So, but I wouldn't consider myself a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't listened to all of her body of work or her entire projects, but I think she's very talented. But even from what I heard, I wasn't impressed. Like, there was a couple songs in there were cool, but it kind of felt like she just like dropped some tracks. It was like, oh, it's been long enough. Drop what you have. It didn't really feel like it was like a cohesive project there. It kind of felt like mainstream rappers drop music and it's just like Culture 5, and it's just some like the same old. You know what I'm talking about?
I know
like,
exactly
it didn't really
what
seem
you
like
mean.
it had a lot of love, and it just seems like the fast food of music. Like, oh, we just gonna drop it. They'll consume it.
And that's what we were talking about as we were listening throughout the entire project. Every time we got to the point where by the end of the album, we were just like, you just said it. Number one, wasn't a very cohesive feel to it in terms of like the amount of sound. There was so many different genres. She went from, ordinary SZA R&B to she was straight rapping on this project to she had like a punk rock song on this project. She had a couple of like acoustic guitar songs where she was just like singing ballads.
She kind of branched out a bit.
Which I love.
Like, one of the songs, I don't remember what the song was called, but it sounded kind of like a Miley Cyrus kind of song. Like a Willow, you know what I'm talking. Like, it was a genre switch.
The one, it's F2F, I think is the title, is the track, F2F. It's the one, all the women going to be singing that one in the club. On the tour, bro, that's the one they hollering that one. I fuck him because I miss you. I was off key.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
I fuck him because I miss you. That's like her little Steve Lacy Bad Habit song. That song gonna tear it up. That's probably gonna be the one that that charts highest. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is.
It's just like it's real poppy. And everybody, like, that's the thing. So like, let's get back to it, right? Like, in terms of like what we thought about the lack of cohesiveness, that those different genres to me, and I love evolution, we both do, of the artist, but with an R&B album, like this album is under R&B. So with an R&B album, like where does that fit? Like those sounds do not fit.
I mean, you can't really call it an R&B album. I mean, I would call it.
It is though.
I mean, I guess it is R&B. It leans R&B. It is an R&B album.
Yeah.
I don't know. She just kind of put some songs on it that didn't really fit the genre. And I feel like a lot of I don't know. I mean, I'm not very well versed in SZA, but it kind of feels like the music now is just kind of talking about the same shit. It's like
that's her thing.
She's in entanglements with a whole bunch of different dudes. I'm gonna get him back by fucking this guy and blah blah blah. It's just kind of like
that's her thing, though.
I mean, if we're gonna do that, can we get a concept going? Like, can an album be a breakup album and tell a story? I don't know.
Right.
That's just me. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Well, that's what a lot of the best artists, when you think of the top artists and the top albums from those top artists, they have thematic albums. It's a Boo Boo that's one of our favorite albums. It's a Boo Boo by Tori Moore.
That was on my head.
That's a deep cut album. He's not like a super, super popular artist, but if you go and you listen to that album, you know exactly what we're talking about. One in the same vein is like a Tame Impala Currents from 2016, I think.
Exactly.
Like a breakup album, like the sound cohesive, everything, like the instrumentation is all the same, the production is all the same. Thriller, the best album of all time, objectively, just through sales. That is a cohesive, I think there's like 9 tracks on that. And I think that's where, when you break down the SZA album all the way, that's where she got stuck, is the fact that there's 23 tracks, which, by the way, there's going to be more because she said that she's releasing a deluxe. So it could be up to like 30 tracks, really. But if you have that many tracks,
she's just dumping her catalog.
That's what it feels like. At that point, when you have that many tracks on an R&B album, it just feels like what you were saying. It feels like a Migos album where you just throw out the bullshit and just see what sticks. And
didn't do a deluxe to get even more.
Yeah, just to get the streams up. And all power to her. You know, because the thing about it, like, I don't fuck with the music industry. Like, the music industry tries to slave these artists and milk these artists and leverage their talents so that they can get all the profit, right? So I don't see any problem with an artist doing the exact same thing and saying, like, Chris Brown does this all the time. Like, he's been pretty consistent doing that. Like, even Gucci Mane released, I think he had an 80-track album. It's a compilation album. It's not just him. Yeah, dude. Like,
who's listening to that shit for 4 hours?
Well, it's not even about that, right? It's like, sure, they love the fans, even though SZA has been on the record by saying, like, she doesn't really make music. She doesn't release music for the fans. She releases music more as a therapeutic thing. But, you know, she knows that she has fans that want to hear her, so she's going to release for the fans, of course. But I'm saying, like, a lot of these artists, when they're releasing this type of project that's that hefty, that's that many tracks, that is purely for the sales. I mean, let's be honest. That's for the streaming numbers. Like, if you have enough people that hit on 23 tracks, and I think she had like 1 billion, like, she's breaking records, dog, with this album. I think she had like 1 billion streams
to me.
In like 2 days.
That's how you know she's established. Like,
she's
like Drake put it. You know how I am. You know what I think about Drake.
Yeah,
Drake has been putting out bullshit. Honestly, since After More Life or since Scorpion, Drake's been putting out bullshit. But he is so established. His name is so powerful that it's gonna sell. He's gonna make money off it, and good money.
And let's not take anything away from. Let's not take anything away from those types of artists. Like, to get to that level. Do you know how fucking difficult it is to be at the top of your field? Drake is at the top of his field. SZA is at the top of her field. SZA is the best R&B, not just female R&B or woman R&B artist. No, she is the top R&B artist, period. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I prefaced it in the beginning. Like, we're fans of SZA. I mean, you're not the biggest fan or anything, but like, you don't hate on SZA. Like we know we know
No, but I
what
think
it
she's
is.
talented.
Yeah, we know what the fuck it
I
is.
listen to songs that she's in a lot.
It's just with this specific album, it just felt like a disappointment because coming off of Control, which was, I don't know right off the bat. Can you look this up for me? How many tracks Control had on it? CTRL. I think it had less than 15, no more than 15, right? And even that you can say is a lot. It probably had like 13 or 14. But even that is that's a pretty long album to me because that's over an hour of music. Is it not?
And she released a deluxe edition that had 7 more tracks. It had 14 tracks.
Yeah, 14 tracks. Do you have a runtime on that? No runtime? It doesn't matter about the runtime, really. I'm just saying, like, that number of tracks, like, the more concise you make it, that to me feels like you were narrowed in and focused on a vision for the album. Like, this is artistry, right? Like, it's almost as if, like, it's almost as if, like, okay, Avatar is about to come out, right? And they're talking about, James Cameron is talking about the fact that he has, like, 6 and 7 sequels lined up. Like, nigga, at a certain point, bro, it becomes too much. That's just too much.
I feel different about it because he's trying to release them like every year. I'm pretty sure it's like every year or every other year now.
But it's kind of like the same thing with like Star Wars, where it just becomes oversaturated.
They're shooting 4 and 5. They're shooting 4 and 5. You're right. I mean, but a lot of people are getting tired of sequels. People are getting tired of 4 or 5 sequels. Like we're on John Wick 4. You know what I mean? Like,
and the reason is I set them equal to each other because in the same vein as somebody coming out with sequel after sequel every single year, just hitting you with the same, because it's going to be the same general plot, same general storyline. So you're basically watching the same thing happen over and over again. And it becomes oversaturated. With an album, if you have 20 plus tracks, at a certain point, your mind is just going to become like mush. How do you even sit down and, like, I thought the point of at least this is how I like to consume my albums. And, you know, obviously this whole thing is just opinion, right? There's nobody that's correct or incorrect about their opinion on this. But I like to consume albums where I can sit down and spend 40 minutes up to an hour just listening to the entire album, just full through. There may be a couple skips here and there, but I can listen to an album and I can feel a mood. I can feel a vibe, right? That's how I like to consume my music. What about you?
Yeah, I like to just sit and enjoy it. I mean, I have a record player, and sometimes it's nice to not like. Sometimes I feel like streaming apps have made us kind of crackheadish. Like it's like, oh, you have it all at your fingertips, so you don't ever want to just sit. Oh, I can skip this song. Oh, I don't really like this one. I'll just play it. I'll skip it. And I guess you can do it on record players, but it's more of a like labor of love. Like I own this physical piece
of art.
I have to like an artist enough, and you put it down on the record player and you just let it play.
Right.
And the only time you get up is when you have to flip it.
Right. Exactly. So, like, I have nothing else really to say about my opinions on the album. I'm not going to do like a rated out of 10, you know, with like the movies and stuff and the TV shows, we like to do like rated out of 10 stars and stuff like that. But I respect SZA's body of work way too much for me to just like completely shit on the album, because that's not at all what I intend to do. That's not what neither of us intend to do. We just, you know, this is our podcast and we can say what the fuck we want to say. And we love SZA and we want to talk about SZA. It was an important piece of artistry that came out this year and we needed to talk about it. The one thing that I think that people are going to be a little hurt by in the coming weeks, months, or let's say after her tour for this SOS album, is the fact that SZA has been pretty vocal over the last maybe like 4 years since her rise from Control, after that Control album, with the fact that like the pressure of the music industry, the pressure of the fans, the pressure of just like skyrocketing to the top of her class has been a lot for her. And, you know, I'm sure that'd be a lot for anybody, but I say all that to say she has different endeavors. It seems like that she's, I mean, according to her interviews recently, like during her rollout, she's been saying that she has different ambitions outside of music. You see an album like that comes out with 23 tracks, all types of different sounds. And I have two different theories, right? I think we could think of this two different ways. On one side, it's either she put all of these different sounds out and just let us have all of it because she wants to be done with music for a minute and worry about other things, other crafts, other versions of her career. Or it could be the exact opposite, which is she gave us all of this great music and all these great different sounds in order to allow the fans to tell her like exactly like what direction they kind of see her evolving into.
Want her to go in.
Yeah. What do you think? Because I think it's going to be the previous. I think that she's pretty much done with music. I think she's going to take that Rihanna route. Where
I think I could see it. I think she's going to go that Rihanna route. Do you think she's going to be like a competitor, like be a Fenty Beauty, go into that whole?
Yeah, we talked about that. That's really interesting, right?
It.
Because how the fuck did Rihanna do it? Like I don't even remember. I just remember Fenty.
I have no idea.
Fenty underwear and like,
huh? We're not the demographic for those products. So
well, we are.
I'm not aware of like. No.
They make, yes, they do. They make, because remember, I think Fenty started as like, I remember them doing like underwear and like, they had those flip flops.
That's true.
Like those fuzzy flip flops.
I agree. They have men offering for males, but like their primary consumers definitely are women.
Their primary consumer is definitely women, but it's not like they don't want to hit on our demographic. And even the models that they use, like she uses a lot of black models, bro, like black men to model her shit. So we are part of that demographic. So when I'm thinking about SZA competing with like a Fenty or a Skims or, you know, things of that nature, Kendall and Kylie's type brands and stuff like that, because she said that, and I don't think she wants to get necessarily into fashion, clothing lines and stuff like that. I think she's talking about like, I think she said makeup. I think she said like, I forget. You guys can go see it. I think she did an interview with Fault, F-A-U-L-T. I think is the company that she did an interview with that I'm referring to, that we're referring to. So you guys can go check that out for yourself to see exactly what she was talking about specifically. But I don't know. I mean, she doesn't have, I've never seen her have like a creative team where like I don't think she's ever done like collaborations on that level where she's investing in this top business and
right.
We never seen it. So kudos to her for trying it.
There.
Huh?
She could do it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she definitely feel like you get to a certain level of influence. You can hire whoever you need with experience to build what you want to build.
Yeah, man. She's the top of her field. That's why I don't put anything by her. Like, and I love to see the growth. Like, I hope nobody thinks that we're hating her or anything just because we're being a bit critical.
Yeah, I'm like, she's extremely talented, but it's just like some artists are extremely talented. They get on and they just kind of like, music seems like it no. I'm not saying this in particular for her, but you never know. And if music is like, I don't really care about music. She's even letting people know, like, I want to get in the business side of things. Music is not something I see myself doing longer, but you can kind of see it in the music though.
Yeah. And a lot of these artists are doing that.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the plan?
Way to get on. Music is a way to get capital, and then you start doing what you really want to do.
Exactly. Isn't that should be everybody's plan, and we've seen that. You know, there's a lot of education that has been done, not just in the music industry, but any of these like celebrity type industries, like acting, even all the way into like athletes. Like a lot of these athletes are turning into businessmen, not only after their career, but during their career as well.
During their career.
LeBron is going to be a billionaire in a few years.
I think he already is, right?
I don't know. I don't really pocket watch LeBron like that, but he possibly is. I'm sure it's just quiet, you know. He's just quiet about it. But like even somebody like Kevin Durant or Steph Curry, like these guys are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. These guys are like trying to start their own hedge fund companies and shit, like their own angel investing wings and stuff like that. Celebrities on the music side, and we see it with rappers too, like they're doing the same exact shit. Everybody wants to be like a Diddy, like a Dr. Dre, where you can start this IP, or you can be the head of your own media company, your own, or start your own record label if you really love music that much.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. Everybody, our generation is about ownership. Is SZA our generation? She's 33.
Nah, she's a millennial.
Okay. But she's like a tail end millennial?
No.
She's like a real millennial?
Millennials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, more recently, like the narrative is like ownership is what matters. Equity, ownership, and everybody is understanding like that is the way to not only get your money, like you want to get paid, right? Like that's important. But it's not even just about that. It's about the fact that like you just want to be able to leverage your own value, right? We can easily transition leveraging your own value into Deion Sanders, which is a huge topic. Huge topic. You think we're done with the SZA topic?
Polarizing topic.
You have anything else to say about SZA?
No, I just think I'm happy she's moving in a different direction, and I just kind of think you can see it in the music. Like she's extremely talented. There's some tracks on there that I really enjoy, but it kind of felt like it was all over the place. It was just kind of like I got to do an album, I got to do what I got to do, and I mean just throw it out. It didn't really seem like Control. Like, and I've only listened to parts of Control, so you would know more than me. But from what I've heard, it's a legendary album.
It's so legendary really that I'm sure
kind of cohesiveness is in there.
That album is so legendary. It's such a classic that I'm almost positive you've heard more than half of it. Just because more than half of it are hits, I'm more than positive.
Yeah,
like we could run down and you'd be like, yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. Oh, I know the words to that one. Yeah, like I'm more than positive. Another thing we didn't mention, as we transition it into the Deion Sanders topic, is the fact that when you are under a label, when you are signed to somebody under contract, you don't have any fucking, unless you're like the top, but even then you're still signed. You still have quote unquote masters, right? I use that as a figurative term, but in the same token, it kind of is literal. You have masters that dictate what you can say on your projects, the type of sound that you come out with. They dictate everything, how much money they're going to put into the marketing. I say all that to say that SZA has been extremely vocal, even back in Control days, back 5-6 years ago, that TDE, she signed to TDE, the label, TDE is extremely, and she's not the only one from that label that says this, is extremely overbearing with their releases and how they allow people and when they allow people, their artists, to release. So a lot of our disappointment could be placed on the shoulders of Punch, the owner, the founder of TDE, and that team. Like, who knows? Maybe TDE was the reason. Like, we're complaining about the fact that we didn't really enjoy the fact that there was all these different sounds and stuff. It probably was TDE that was like, yo, like, and I'm not sure like what her, I don't know if this is like her last. I don't know what her contract is. I'm saying, like, I don't know how many albums she has to release and stuff on her deal and stuff like that. But you know, it's possible that TDE was like, yo, like, we know that SZA's time is coming to an end with us. Let's get as much as fucking possible, because we know if she put out 23 tracks on an album, how many fucking tracks do you think she has? Period.
I know. It's been 5 years since Control.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing I don't understand about TDE is like they don't really seem like they have that many artists for you to be waiting 6 years to drop an album. I'm sure it's a lot. Of course, this is my ignorant opinion, non-music industry opinion. Maybe they're like, there's so many people dropping constantly, we got to like schedule ourselves in. I don't know.
Well, they always do that.
I think it's a little weird.
I think every label, because that's the marketing about it. Like, you're going to do all the data and stuff to figure out, like, that's why SZA gets released in the fourth quarter. She's a fourth quarter act. This is like holidays, you know, fourth quarter is when you make the most buck. That's when people are consuming the most. So, of course, she's a fourth quarter act. But like Kendrick released first quarter this year. You know what I mean? Like, this has been a big year for TDE.
Right.
And even Kendrick had things to say. I mean, he's not as vocal as SZA, but even Kendrick had things to say about how they release his music. His last album, this was the final album on his contract. I think he's done with TDE unless he resigns. I know Isaiah Rashad had multiple interviews. He was on the Breakfast Club. He went on Joe Budden. I think he talked to Joe Budden about the same exact thing that SZA was regarding. Like, TDE is super like, and they're not the only ones that do it. Like, I don't want to make it seem like we're just shitting on TDE. That's the precedent in the industry. but they're like really like, nah, you can't release that shit.
What is the reason about it?
Because they're trying to get
Are
their
they just
profit.
really picky about what they release, or is it just? I mean, of course you want to be picky. You don't want people to, because you have to market it. That's an investment.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
Period. Yeah.
if someone has a quality project, why won't you let them put it out?
Because it's like when you're on that level, dog, when you're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're a huge label, but they're not even near the level of Universal, Sony. No. You know what I mean? Imagine. So when you think of it on that level, when it's like the same as like the movie industry, when you're on that level and you're putting in hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm talking about the movie industry. You're putting in hundreds of millions of dollars into one project. You need to recoup as much as fucking possible. And the only way to do that, or the best way to do that, is to be able to hit as many genres as possible, as many demographics as possible. You got to be not only do you have to be trendy, can we put this on TikTok? You know, they're asking all these different questions, right? Is this going to be part of our part of the tour? Like, are we going to be able to market this as a lead single? Is this going to get radio play? Like, there is so much that they think of and that they think about, and they have to hit on all these different metrics in order to answer to their shareholders. And so that's the reason. That's the reason why they do that. So I don't blame TDE, and I don't blame SZA. I think that it just overall, the combination of the artistry and everything that was involved, everybody that was involved, didn't really come together for something that I enjoyed. But the overall consensus that we've seen is that people really enjoy this album.
And they really, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's just stands, but like, they're acting like it's better than Control.
They are. Even the critics, like Metacritic, Pitchfork, you're going to start seeing them. Like, I think this is a very critically acclaimed album already. And to me, it's just like, I don't see it. But like we said, everybody has an opinion. I hope she gets her awards. I want her to get her Grammys and shit for sure. Like, I want her to win. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I'm not going to. And I don't like it right now. It's only been 2 days. You know what I mean? Like, it's only been 2 days. You know for a fact I'm going to sit with this for another 5 years until she releases again. So, like, that's what I'm saying to y'all. Like, I'm going to listen to this shit all fucking year and for years to come until I figure out how to enjoy this album, because I want to enjoy SZA. But let's move into our Deion Sanders topic.
So he recently got and signed a deal with Colorado. It was University in Colorado.
Colorado University.
$5 million. Mm-hmm. Or saying he just recently got a contract with CU. $5 million contract. And
it's like 29.5 for 4 years.
Okay. Really? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And he was previously being paid
people
1.2 or like 1.5 for 4 years at Jackson State.
Damn. And people are famously calling him a coon for taking that deal and not sticking to the HBCU.
The word that's been used is sellout. I haven't really heard anyone call him a coon yet.
It's the same thing. I mean, it isn't, but it is.
I don't know, because people call Obama a sellout, but they don't call him a coon.
And we're not going to get started on Obama, but yeah. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on the matter? Because some people say if the HBCU doesn't want to front up the money, or at least try to front up half the contract, that's on them. Versus Deion's way he sees it is, I'm moving up. I'm moving up the ladder, which I guess you could say is selling out. Versus sticking out with the black program that he made great.
Well,
my opinion is they should at least. Oh, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, my opinion is they should at least be able to match half.
29.5 million.
If it was that important. Remember, because sports generates a lot of revenue in the college system. So I think if Jackson State kept performing, it would have been worth the investment.
That's an important thing to say, worth the investment. That's an important thing to say. Because I don't think that when people look at situations like this, they see a human being who has value with a craft. Deion Sanders, you introduced Deion Sanders as a famous coach, but Deion Sanders will literally go down in history, in NFL history, in football history, American football, as one of the greatest NFL players to ever, one of the greatest athletes, period, but one of the greatest NFL players, football players to ever play the sport. This is a man that not only was playing NFL, professional football, but at the same time was in the MLB playing professional baseball. This man is like an icon. He's legend status, right?
Right.
So that level of experience, that level of mastery, and let me also say he was the best in his fucking position. So like there's all these different layers of how great this man is in his craft. And so for you guys to say, you guys meaning like the general public, for you guys to say that a man with that much value to a program at Jackson State is worth you letting go without you even attempting. And I don't think that, and there's so much, we're going to get to all of it, but I don't think that Jackson State even has enough money, even if they did get local funding and there was donations and things like that and everybody pitched in. Because let's be honest, that's going to have to be a local thing. People in California don't give a fuck about what's happening in Jackson State football, so they're not probably going to donate, right?
Bit.
Yeah, so it's going to be a local thing. I don't even think that it's possible for them to even come up with half the amount of the dollar amount, right? But let's say
what about the local city?
But I mean,
that brings in a lot of revenue.
I know. I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean, and that's the point I'm trying to make. Is like there's so much. If you guys really believe that this man is so valuable, like why wouldn't you give your best shot? And like,
I'm talking about the government. A local government is what I'm talking about. When I say
government don't give a fuck about Jackson State football.
I hear you, right? But I'm talking.
They don't give a fuck about HBCUs, period.
Yeah, for HBCUs, but I'm saying that often in other for PWIs, the city gets involved all the time when it comes to funding for certain things.
Yeah, but we already know what game we're playing, so I don't even want to consider.
Yeah.
I'm not even considering any type of national funding, any type of government funding, period. I'm not even considering that because that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. So I'm putting that out of my mind. That's not even reality to me. I'm talking about for the people that are criticizing it because it's only black folk that are talking about this matter. Let's be completely honest. White people don't give a fuck about Deion Sanders leaving an HBCU and going to coach at. To white people, or not even just to white people, to most people, they see this as a promotion. This is a step up. A man did a great job in his field and a great job at his craft. And that because of that, he now has an opportunity to be promoted and to be not only paid more for his craft and for his mastery, but also to be at a better school. Like that is a better team. He's going to a better team to coach. That is what he does. He is a football coach. So when we're talking about like the sellout thing, it seems like a lot of people are pissed about two things. They're either pissed that he is getting this, like the pocket watch thing. It seems like people are either pocket watching and pissed that he accepted so much more money and it's not even guaranteed to him. All that money is not even guaranteed to him. So that's like the sellout thing. Black people hate to see when niggas getting a bigger bag than them. We love to pocket watch.
True. So to a degree.
And then the second thing that people seem to be pissed off about is that he made a commitment to a HBCU, didn't fulfill his contract. The contract was over 4 years. He's going to be leaving within 3, to my knowledge. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's leaving to go to a predominantly white school. So which one do you want to tackle? Because we could shut down both of these, unless you agree with either one of them.
I mean, ultimately, I agree with his decision. I mean, I agree with the points that have been laid out, and there's, at least on my end, there's no arguments to shut down. Now, the community at large, we could go in shutting that down, but I think the man has a career and he's moving forward. He got a promotion, he got a new job. I don't really know what to say. Like you would think that Jackson State would take the playbook and keep it going. We would hope that more talented players would go to HBCUs. But I guess we're still in a situation where people want to go to the NFL, and you got to do that where the money's at. And Deion is kind of doing the same thing. He's going where the money's at. We got to get to a point where we've built up enough where there's enough money being made where people will feel comfortable taking a little bit of a hit, knowing still they're going to make a solid amount of money in the long run.
I think that what we have to do is define what we mean by sellout. Is Deion Sanders a sellout because he took more money, or is Deion Sanders a sellout because he left black people for white people in people's eyes?
I think it's both, honestly.
So
a combination of both.
So
because if he took more money, if he just took more money and went to another HBCU, people would be mad, but no one would be calling him a sellout.
I was just about, but why
not
though?
Even. It doesn't even make.
Because it's the same thing. So
because
you can't have your cake
it's
and eat it
historical.
too.
Because it's historical. Because there are a lot of black people who sell out in different ways for white people. They just see where the money's at. Look at Candace Owens. Like people like a lot of black conservatives like Candace Owens, like they will say absolutely anything as long as they're getting paid. There's nothing low enough for them because they know where their mon's at. They know how to play the game.
I just want to know in which
they're throw their people
scenario.
under the bus for it.
Sorry to talk over you. I just want to know in which scenario do people look at his transition? It's like, do y'all want him to coach at the school for fucking ever? Like, in which scenario is he allowed to leave and to grow? When can he do that?
HBCU.
Huh?
I think it's just go to another HBCU.
But
literally.
why does?
I think that's the only way. And people are always going to criticize you. He's going to get criticism anyway
regardless.
if he leaves.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
but the sellout, he won't be called a sellout though. I think because it's like if you can't match the contract,
because you just said that people
like he's still buying black. It's like buying black. It's like I decided
no, he's not.
I don't want to work for this black institution anymore. This one's offering me a better deal, or he's voting black. You get what I'm trying to say? But
no, it's
the fact that he did the same thing and went to a PWI is selling out.
People are going to be pissed. So if he left the HBCU to go to a worse HBCU team, but he got paid the same amount he's going to get paid at Colorado, people are going to call him
Makes
a sellout.
No sense.
Because
How?
nigga, you left the good school. Why you leave the good school for the more money, nigga? That's what they going to say.
Well, it's always going to be a clown saying that. But like I'm saying, like I'm talking about general consensus. I'm not talking about individuals. So the general consensus is he's a sellout. But just one random bum talking about, he's like, why'd you take the money? But he's still at a black institution. Everybody would have been like, shut up, bro. It would have been just noise. Nobody would have cared. But that's not the general consensus in that case.
I've heard people coming at it from a perspective where they're upset with the fact that he made a commitment to Jackson State. It's not. I've heard some people come at it with a more nuanced perspective where it's like HBCUs. That's the way that you're trying to come at it, and that's a higher level of thought instead of trying to minimize it to just like, oh, it's just Jackson State. But I've heard a lot of people say that it's the fact that he left Jackson State at the time that he left Jackson State for more money, and also on top of it, for a white to go to a white institution, predominantly white institution. I think people would be pissed regardless. Black people do not, for some reason, like to see the growth. The other thing is like
it's not just us, though.
Yeah, I mean, but we're talking about black community. This is a black community issue. Like white people aren't talking about this. White media does not care. I mean, you might see this on ESPN but who's talking about it? Black people. So the thing on top of it as well is like, there's nothing in Deion Sanders' history. There's nothing in his track record that has even showed that he's a sellout. If y'all worried about people getting paid, then like, so y'all just don't want people to get paid. If you're primarily mad about the fact that he's going to a predominantly white institution, it's like, okay, but he's going there to coach black boys. I'm just confused.
I know, this is true.
I'm just confused at what you guys want him to do.
I guess it's just because, guess who's pocketing all the money from it, though? I guess that's the issue.
He's working for an institution. That's like you saying that's like you saying the same thing about you being employed by anybody being employed by somebody. Like, who's bringing in the most cash, though? Yeah, obviously, it's capitalism.
But they feel like he has the means. I'm not a football guy, so I wasn't sure. I mean, clearly it makes sense that he was a former NFL player. But now that I have that knowledge, constantly in my mind, now that you brought that up, I'm like, they're thinking the man is good. It's kind of like, this is perspective that I see. So you have a black shop, right? Like, for example, there's like a black winery close to my place, and it's kind of high, but I don't have a problem with it. And I'm going to go to them primarily if and I rarely ever want to go out and get wine, because I'm like, we got to get them off the ground. I'm okay with paying a premium to get them off the ground because I'm supporting a member of my community. So people look at it, but see, you have people in the community who have, and this is the problem with the whole Deion Sanders thing. You have people in the community who say, that's too high. That ain't mine. I should get a hookup.
Right.
And they go to other communities who are selling them garbage. Mm-hmm. Not their own community who's fighting all these different things, have to charge more to stay afloat. Mm-hmm. And so the way I'm trying to reframe this, and Deion is just like, there's like a YouTuber I watch. He says, like, who talked about the whole thing. He says black folks are always pole mouthing, in the sense that it's like, bro, brother, we can't afford that, and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's like, we got to make it happen.
Yeah.
You got to make that investment. You got to figure out, because even CU is saying, we don't know how we're going to get that money yet, but we're going to get it.
And on
try
top
to at
of
least
that,
match, even if they tried a third of it, he might have stayed.
Yeah, bro. Like, Colorado that school saw the value in Deion Sanders. They reported that this is gonna be, they're paying him this is the most lucrative contract they've ever paid any coach in their history. So They saw the value. Why don't y'all? Now, that's why I said in the beginning, if not only Jackson State, because I'm sure there was like other schools. He clearly wasn't just talking to two schools. Like, come on. So I'm sure there was like a little bit of negotiation, bidding war type shit going on. He was talking and interviewing with other schools. I'm sure there was another HBCU that could have came around and said, yo, look, man, we can't offer you the 29.5. We just don't have it. We don't put that much money into our football programs like that, bro. We don't have it. But I'm sure if they vocalized exactly, if Jackson State came out and vocalized, yo, we offered him the max of what we could even fathom, what we can even afford to pay this man. And they vocalized that and reported that to the media, and then explained to the media that Deion Sanders rejected this offer. We saw the value in Deion Sanders. We brought the community and got the donations. Then I can call him a sellout. If I knew that information, then I can call him a sellout. But if you're trying to just 1.2 compared to 29.5, yo, come on, yo. Everyone's taking that deal.
To elevate.
Everyone's taking that deal.
To be honest with you, and we may not know this, but I would hope that the HBCUs had their own little separate bidding war for the man. One school could, I really believe one school, seeing it as an investment, could have at least offered half,
exactly,
or a third of the contract.
Exactly.
I really believe that.
I agree with you.
I really believe that. It's like, because you feel like you're trying to move into an era where we're getting more black talent, because we're making these schools rich. Our talent is making these schools rich. So even if it's a little bit of a major sacrifice, prioritize it. Do what you can. But I refuse to believe they couldn't pay that man that contract over a number of years. At least a third of the contract. I refuse to believe it.
Yeah.
So I agree. If they did all that, did all they could, all came together, but I feel like we don't know who's really managing and running these HBCUs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But these sports programs make so much money. With the success of Jackson State, why not keep it going? Mm-hmm. Why not do what you can and make that investment and make that program popular and keep bringing that revenue in?
Yeah.
If they get so good and they become so legendary, they're going to make the money.
Yeah. Like, I think people just misunderstand what Deion Sanders' intention is, even though he has told you guys his intention. His intention is not to coach for Jackson State. He happened to have been a coach at Jackson State, but that is not his life mission, is to coach at Jackson State. His life mission is to coach the top talent in that collegiate or high school football. He wants to coach the top young men in football. Most of the time, they're going to be young black men. So that is also on his list. He will speak about coaching young black men, mentoring young black men. That is what he wants to do. We talked about all types of shit that, I mean, Deion Sanders throughout his tenure at Jackson State was doing all types of stuff to mentor black men. It was like kind of a comedic thing, kind of a comedic topic. But remember, he brought Brittney Renner there to talk to his boys.
That was on my mind.
Yeah. That wasn't just football. Nah, that's about life. That's his mission. His mission in life is to coach young men and to bring them into their full potential. So y'all got it twisted, not we. Y'all got it twisted about exactly what his mission here on this earth is to do. Y'all just seeing the numbers, the money, the dollar signs, and y'all seeing black and white and shit like that. That's not I'm not talking about race. I'm saying like black and white. Like, you're not saying the gray area.
You're not seeing the gray area. You're not seeing the finer details of the entire thing. Because I agree. Man donating half his money, like,
yeah,
he's
dude,
being underpaid for what he's worth. He's being underpaid for what he's worth. And you should at least try to make an effort. If there was no effort made, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But if there was a serious effort made, and it probably wasn't going to be comparable. Clearly, it wasn't going to be comparable because HBCUs are very underfunded.
Yeah.
But if there was like, hey man, we went to the balls to the walls to get you a third of the contract, he might have stayed. I mean, that's still a big raise from what he was making before.
Huge, yeah. Exactly. And he's probably
huge raise
like he was giving it back. Like, he was giving back half his salary, bro. Like, what? Like, I don't even see how y'all are trying to mix this man's character up, trying to make it seem like he's a sellout, because like that just doesn't even make any sense to me, bro. I hate that shit. Should we keep it moving? We got Brittney Renner, not Brittney Renner. We got Brittney Griner. I'm gonna give a round of applause for that. Obviously, that's a huge situation. That is a huge W. That is a huge W. The Brittney Griner situation, we don't even need to take it all the way back we don't even need to have the conversation
we don't
about
need to go back.
Yeah. We just want to specifically mention the fact that she needed to come home. So anyone that is saying, because I've seen narratives and I've seen comments about people trying to weigh the scale, balance, like trying to weigh whether it was a good trade or not. Like, this is the fucking NBA. Like, this is a human life. This is a human American citizen that was being held almost in a way like a prisoner of war. Because, I mean, look at who they had to end up making the trade with. The transaction wasn't for like another fucking, celebrity. No. Like, they got themselves an armsman. Like, their top armsman. Come on. So when you guys are talking about like the fact that I just debating whether it's a good enough quote unquote trade, bro, like, where did this level of callousness, where did this lack of humanity come? And we know it's because a large portion of it is because of the fact that this is not only just a black person,
not only just black,
not only just a black woman, but also a lesbian black woman. So she has like that's like three curses right there, yo, in terms of society, yo. So we already know. We already know how people are going to approach this with some type of dogmatic, just this ignorant level of racism, ignorant level of misogyny, ignorant level of homophobia. We already know all that. We already know all that. I understand that. But for the people that consider themselves intellectuals, the people, because I've seen like people with, I know blue check marks I don't give a fuck about a blue check mark, but I'm saying like these are people that are like journalists, these are people that are reporters, these are people that have a voice, right? They have careers, and people listen to them. You got people like that talking about, I just don't think it was a good enough trade. They should have traded for the Marines guy. Y'all wasn't talking about no Marines guy a year, 5 months ago.
Bro, they do that nonsense all the time. Like whenever someone's killed by police, these dudes always talk about, what about Ashley Babbitt? You mean the insurrectionist who was running up trying to kill Congress people? Was running up trying to get in there. They warned her, always talking about comply. And then Ashley Babbitt, all of a sudden they forget about comply or die. Then when they get hit with comply or die, it's a problem. So we're dealing with hypocrites. Mm-hmm. You already know we're dealing with hypocrites.
Mm-hmm. We already know.
All of a sudden, they scrutinize every detail when it comes to you, and then it's always justified, and then willfully ignore anything that happens to anyone in their community or their political spectrum, side of the political spectrum, anyone on their side of the political spectrum. Because like as much arms dealing and destabilizing that America does, I don't want to hear anything about one Russian arms dealer. I just don't want to hear it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear it. You can say whatever you want to say. That young, how old is she? She's probably older than us, but she's still a young woman.
She got to be
She
younger
does
than
not
30.
deserve to be in jail for 9 years. Yeah, there's no way 9 years, dude.
Over a little weekend.
She should have known, and she broke the law in someone else's country. I agree with that to a certain point, but 9 years is absurd.
Yeah.
Clearly, she's a political prisoner. Clearly,
Yeah.
that's where the problem comes in. Had it been like, you got to do a year, you got to do, I would have meant, well, you should have checked. I do not like. I'm being honest. I agree with it to a point.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this point, they're just fucking with her. This is wrong. This is unfair and wrong.
Yeah, they were sending her to like labor camps and shit,
Yeah.
working her like a slave. Come on, bro. And then on top of that, it's like we were talking about the fact that like, what was the fucking alternative that y'all wanted, right? Because, so let's say hypothetically we left her. Let's say hypothetically she made it through 3 years, right? And then all of a sudden because we were getting constant updates about what was going on over there with her. 3 years go by and some crazy shit happens. She ends up dying over there. So y'all just going, well, Joe Biden wouldn't be in office right there, right then. But okay, let's say a week from now, right? A week from now, we hear Brittney Griner tragically met her demise. So so who y'all gonna blame now? Y'all gonna be blaming Joe Biden? Joe Biden, why weren't you over there fighting for our people? Why weren't you so what do y'all really want? What was the alternative here? This is the same situation, not the same situation, but it's kind of like in the same vein of what we just got done talking about with Deion Sanders. Like, y'all want your cake and you want to eat it too. Like, you can't have it both ways, bro. And that's kind of like the internet at play. I kind of feel like the internet steams up all these different perspectives and people just run with whatever is the trendiest. And people just start regurgitating all this bullshit.
Regurgitating all the propaganda.
I wish we were old enough to know, or more historically educated on exactly like how these they're called trades. How these, what are they called when these transactions?
There's like political trade, like prisoner swaps or prisoner trades.
Swaps. Yeah, how these swaps. I
don't
wish
even know if there's like yeah.
Is there like a precedent for how these normally go down? Because don't we go over there and like, don't we like get journalists back and stuff like all the time? Like so-called nobodies.
Pretty sure, yeah. We get randos, like unnamed people back all the time.
Yeah, just because of the fact that that is an American citizen that is being held captive there. Bring them home, right? So like, I don't. That's right. And we already touched on the fact that this is all based in all types of bigotry. But like, y'all just,
of course,
the
because if it had been
alternative,
a little white girl over there, she just had a cartridge and there was nothing even in it. It was just residue. She forgot. This is wrong.
Yeah.
Stop at nothing to bring her home. Would have been all these different campaigns, all kinds of shit. Nobody, come on. Because like when you look at, I've seen a lot of the comments. She hated America. She's anti-American and she broke the law. She deserved the 9 years. And the reason they say she's anti-American is because she kneeled during the George Floyd era.
God.
You see how racist this is?
Yeah.
Yes. She's an anti-American. She's a commie. You know how crazy these guys are.
Yeah.
And racist these guys are. God forbid you kneel against a tyrannical empire that has terrorized your people for 400 years. You're anti-American.
I know.
It tells you everything you need to know.
God forbid you use your First Amendment. Come on now. All right, what else we got? Yeah, let's talk about DC. DC, it's really Warner Brothers, but it's really Warner Brothers as a whole. But let's talk about DC. DC, I think they've officially, like, they're rebooting their DC extended universe. So it failed. James Gunn, the new president of DC Films, he might be able to, he's coming from Marvel. We talked about that before in a recent episode. He might be able to come up with a little bit of a redirection, a different course of action in order to get DC to the point where I don't know if it was ever the top leader maybe like in the 90s, like maybe before Marvel Cinematic Universe. I wasn't alive then, but they were making their Batman films and those were doing pretty well, and they've made Superman films and things like that. So maybe they were the top at a certain point. I don't know if they'll ever reach that level because Marvel, they have the Disney machine behind them. That's just, you're probably just not going to be able to beat that. Let's be completely honest. But we were talking off mic with the point that DC, even though the extended universe, the Aquaman, Justice League, and things like that, even though that is all coming to an end, they have struck gold with certain feature-length films such as Joker, such as the recent Batman that came out earlier this year. Harley Quinn was a pretty good hit that they had. I think they recently sold off their animation rights though, so I don't think they have that in their catalog anymore, which is a damn shame because that show, if y'all haven't seen it, that show is fucking fire. Go watch that Harley Quinn show. 3 seasons, I think. Fucking heat. Like some of the best DC, some of the best superhero stories, period. It's just really, really good, in my opinion. But I do think that I don't think we need to be as worried. If you're a DC fan, which I am, I don't think we need to be as worried as this like level of chaos would make you assume you'd have to be. Are you worried? Like, are you thinking that this is the end of DC? Or do you see them making a different course of action, being able to save face?
Well, with James Gunn on board, I'm more bullish than ever on DC. Because we know Guardians kicks ass. I mean, with James Gunn at the, is he at the helm?
He is the president of DC Films.
Yeah. With James Gunn at the helm, I think it has potential now to be a Marvel competitor, especially with Marvel kind of slipping a little bit. I can see it. Because he has inside he has an inside mind. It's like the how James what's his name?
He's like a spy.
Ian Dunlap always yeah, he's like a spy. Like Ian Dunlap talks about, like Ian Dunlap, master investor, look him up, by the way. He talks about like the top 2 in the space or top 3 in the space. Well, there's only 2 in the space in this case. But imagine the guy at Apple who he knows how everything works. I mean, he understands all the technology, he understands the business. He goes and works at Samsung. Like the guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the best possible spy, so to speak. Was around for a lot of that early success. He goes to work at Samsung, who's falling on hard times not now, but I'm just talking hypothetically. He could turn it around. There's no guarantees, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah. What do you think about the fact that they're turning? Because in the same breath that they're saying that we're canceling all these films, we've heard rumors that in reports that they're originally they brought back Henry Cavill, right? So he can redeem himself as Superman. They canceling that shit. They have to stop that shit. They're talking about how they're gonna transition Aquaman, Jason Momoa, I mean, to a completely different role. They were talking about, we've already knew that they canceled the Batgirl, they canceled the Michael Keaton Batman, like they canceled a lot of shit. They're canceling everything, starting from basically from scratch now. But
so wait, I wish I asked you this. They canceled the so Michael Keaton is what's that guy's name from Twilight?
No, that's Robert Pattinson.
Did they cancel that one?
No. I'm talking because
I'm just making sure.
Remember Batgirl, they said that they had a Michael Keaton cameo.
Yeah.
Because remember, he's the original Batman.
Right.
And he was coming back to DC, which was huge. That's a huge deal. But there was reports recently after all this shit went down that they actually were in talks with bringing him back to reprise his role. And he was going to be the Batman Beyond. It was going to be like a Batman Beyond movie that he was going to do with Michelle Pfeiffer. That would have been fucking sick. They haven't done that since I think that came out in the 80s, late 80s. Yo, that would have been fucking dope to see. But they canceled all of that shit. They do not have the investment money to do that shit. They're going broke. I say all that to say that while we see them saying that they either are going to completely just scratch the DCEU or revamp it, they already kind of are starting a different version of the DCEU with the Robert Pattinson storyline.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, they could just go from there. They really could. And he's young enough that I feel like he could play Batman for a while.
And the thing that I think is cool about it, which if you think about it, could be its own this is like a different innovation. If they're smart enough to see it, this could be an entirely different new innovation of cinematic universes, because they're still using their own IP, right? So let's say, okay, so they have Joker over here, which we know is already getting a sequel. Highly successful film, already getting a sequel. And then we have the Batman over here, super successful, getting a sequel, also getting a spin-off series with the Penguin. So that's its own cinematic universe almost in its entirety, right? And then if you do that same thing with the Joker over there, because that story has nothing to do with the Batman story over here. You see what I'm saying? So if you start bringing in all these, you still have the same IP, but if you're just creating your own little mini super cinematic universes, that's a completely different novel take on the cinematic universe. It doesn't have to be as grand as Marvel does it, where you can bring in all these crazy characters that no one even has remembered, no one even knows, right? No one's familiar with. You don't have to spread yourself that thin anymore, which is what they tried to do originally. They tried to bring in Aquaman and Batgirl, Wonder Woman, Justice League. They tried to do all that. It failed. But if they're smart about it and they're kind of like detail oriented, I think they should just develop their little, just develop your little stories, like develop a little cinematic universe in and of the things that are succeeding. Like that would be so fucking dope.
Cause like the Pattinson series is like, I think is great, man. I don't know how I feel about that Joker though. That Joker could kill it. It's so bad to me. The guy they picking for Joker. I hope they kind of, swap it like how they did with Don Cheadle, Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard. I hope they kind of just let's do something different. But yeah, it definitely could be a great launching point. Like you said, focus on the products that are succeeding and go from there. But I hope they have a real plan, man. Like I want to see like Batman 1. Then see Wonder Woman 1.
A timeline.
See, Superman Origins. And then, exactly, build out the Justice League. Then do Justice League 1. Then I want to see, I don't know a lot about DC. Who are like people outside Justice? I don't know if we need to be doing Teen Titans this early.
They could. I think the same way that they do the shows.
They could.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the same way that they do the shows on the CW, they could just take those, like they have the IP there, bro. Just take the same little characters that you have and develop the world within those characters' worlds, though. Have a Teen Titan world. Have a Batman world that don't have anything to do with each other. Oh, you're talking
about, but they're doing that now, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's kind of, yeah.
Continue with that. Build it, though. Scale it. It would be kind of tough at a certain point, because it's like, how can you have Batman living over here and Batman living over there? But they're different universes. That's why.
Yeah. If they really want to like catch up to Marvel, that would be kind of revelation. Is like they're like secretly doing a connected universe, but it all starts off as disconnected, and then a multiverse event happens and it connects all of them.
Boom. Something like that, bro. It could work. They just need to be, I mean, that's just my fucking, my idea or whatever. You could take it. Go ahead and take that. Copyright that shit, DC. Copyright that shit, WB. Do it. I think they should definitely go for it. I think it's time for us to move into our deep cuts. We're about there, yeah?
Okay.
Or do we want to talk about this R. Kelly situation? Or do we want to leave that for a different time? We can talk about it
a little bit. Let's leave that for a different time.
Okay, we could. I don't know when we're gonna come back to it.
Well, let's cover it real quick. Why not?
It's just a little jokey joke. It's just a little jokey joke.
It's one of the quick ones, but yeah, R. Kelly dropped a prison album, as stereotypical and as ridiculous as you can imagine. This is like some Boondock shit.
I admit it. I can't believe he said that.
I admit it. He's like, all right, guys, I am a pedo officially.
He must have read O.J. Simpson's.
Robert Kelly.
He must have read O.J. Simpson's "If I Did It." Didn't O.J. Simpson come out with a book called "If I Did It"?
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Look that up real quick, please. I'm pretty
what do you realistically have to do in prison? Of course he made an album. Now that I think about it, it's like, dude's gonna be in it for the rest of his life. Of course he made an album. What else is there to do?
Yeah. Dude, because he's a songwriter, bro. He's one of the best songwriters that we've ever seen in the modern 20th century, 21st century. He's like super talented. This is R. Kelly, Robert Kelly, people. I hate the fact that he did what he did. Like, condemn him for it, of course. He belongs in prison. But he's a songwriter. He gonna make music. I'm not saying I'm not gonna cape for him. Because we can talk about it if you want to, about what we think about this, but there are people, including Boosie Badass, who have been saying that they don't see the reason why Spotify, Apple, like these streaming platforms took it down the album.
Oh no.
Kind of the same thing about like the censorship topic.
We're done with that. Censorship, but like you don't own that platform though.
Yeah.
People don't understand that if this is a private platform, someone else's property, they can remove you off the property,
Exactly.
even if it's digital.
Exactly.
You got to get up out of here, bro.
Because Kanye, I don't know if you knew about
business.
that too, but Kanye also released a song, and we already know we've been covering that shit, so we already know what type of time he on. He's issuing a whole nother message now, and he had a song that released. He put that shit on Instagram Live, I believe, and Instagram Live took that shit down immediately. And people were pissed about that too, talking about censorship and shit like that. Because,
dude, yeah,
I don't see it that way. Like, I know people come out and they're like Joe Rogan, for example, comes out and it will say like, yeah, I think it's like it's kind of censoring. Like, I think it's just kind of like a slippery slope. And I see that point. I see the slippery slope kinda, but like that's almost as if someone came into your place of business and started like calling you racial slurs, and you asked them, you escorted them out. Like, get the fuck out of my building. Like, duh.
Exactly.
It's the same precedent.
You're censoring me.
Yeah, imagine if someone said that to you, called you the N-word, and was like, and you tried to kick him out of your place of business, and then they were talking about you censoring my right to have a freedom of speech. That doesn't make any sense. People are so ignorant. The gray area, where did it go? Where do people start reading? People stopped reading in between the lines, bro. It's social media.
I don't think they ever have.
Really? Maybe.
Social media has made the problem worse, I think.
The media? Oh,
it's crazy how we live in that's crazy how we live in an era of such information, and people just people just don't care. The algorithm creates an echo chamber for them, and that's all they believe, whether it's true or not.
Yes.
Whatever the echo chamber is true or not.
Yeah. Has to be. That's why I'm not gonna say that. We love SZA. I'm not gonna say nothing. SZA, we're moving to deep cuts. Let's go to deep cuts. SZA is one of my deep cuts today. It's like I'm sorry. I have to laugh through the pain, y'all. It's the way I cope. I have to laugh through the pain. I was really hurt by this, man. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, it's really good. All right, everybody.
Ladies and
I
gentlemen.
hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. And yeah, I want to thank everybody who are tuning in, and we really appreciate you. And please, give us recommendations in the comments for anything you guys want us to talk about.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Top Tier Podcast, episode 34, bitches.